The story follows Ryu Yamada. He's a lazy high school student who has bad grades and just pretends to be a tough guy. In class, most of the time, he just spends either being bored or getting yelled at by his teachers. Urara Shiraishi, on the other hand, is a very good student. She's always preparing for class, doing her homework, and studying. Teachers sometimes compare them as being total opposites in every way. Ryu and Urara barely communicate in school. That all changes when one day Ryu notices Urara going up the stairs. He walks right past her, but he slips. Ryu loses control and falls over directly onto Urara. When Ryu wakes up, he's lying in the school medical room. He discovers that he is a totally different body now. He's now in Urara's body. They seemingly switched places. He's scared, confused, and doesn't know how to act. The two of them manage to meet at the roof, and Urara is now in Ryu's body, but she seems calm. She explains that they just need to repeat the fall to switch back, but they need to do it at the end of the school day. Ryu immediately goes to check this new body at the mirror, and he loses his mind about how beautiful Urara really is. During class, Urara as Ryu is fantastic in class, and that shocks everyone in school. Ryu, while in Urara's body, gets bullied by a bunch of girls. He realizes that her life isn't all that great at school and that she's always alone. He decides to try to help her, so when one of the girls starts making fun of Urara, Ryu decides to scare her, but Urara shows up in his body and he punches her. They decide it's time to change bodies, so they fall like before, but nothing happens, and Urara says that the first time they kissed. So they kiss once more and return back to normal, but it doesn't take long before they switch once again. Ryu will fail a test without Urara's help, and he can help her pass the PE class, so they switch once more. Ryu is amazing during the girls' PE class. He undresses as Urara, and creepy stalkers take photos. Taranosuke Miyamura, who is the student council vice president, realizes that there's something strange going on between Ryu and Urara, so he decides to reform the Supernatural Studies Club. A mysterious girl also joins the newly restarted club. The girl is named Miyabi Ito, and she's very excited to join the Supernatural Club. So much so that she shows her entire paranormal collection of UFO pictures and strange rocks. She also decides that the club deserves a more clean room, so she starts cleaning and assigns Ryu to take out the trash. Ryu Yamada really wants to switch bodies with Urara once again so she can take his test for him. Getting his grades improved is his main mission. Urara accepts, and they try several times, but each time Ito interrupts them. Finally, they kiss, but Ito sees them, so she spreads the rumor that Ryu and Urara are dating all around school. Ryu sees that a couple of classmates are talking about it, so he decides to change the situation. Ryu decides to try something bold, and he kisses Miyabi, so they switch bodies. As Miyabi, he punches his former body and goes out to rectify the rumors. After he confronts a couple of students, he realizes that most of the students in the school didn't believe Miyabi's rumors, as she's notorious for saying stupid lies. Basically, he switched bodies for no reason. As Miyabi, he discovers that there are some bullies to whom she owes money for some paranormal stuff. He fights them off. Later, Ryu and Miyabi return back to their original bodies, and she becomes a member of the Supernatural Club. They decide to try more experiments with kissing to see how the powers actually work. The student council decides that the Supernatural Club is problematic and needs to be watched closely. Ryu Yamada and Miyamura go to the student council president Haruma Yamazaki so they can get a bigger budget for the Supernatural Studies Club and repair the room a bit because it looks so old. Their proposal for a budget increase is rejected. Then they try to body swap with the girls. Yamazaki says that he will accept on the condition that they can convince Urara to go to college. The next time Ryu and Urara swap bodies, Ryu notices that Urara's body has a cold, so he hates that he has to spend time being her. Later, the club members with Ryu go to Urara's house. There, she shows up in Ryu's body and they switch back. She just wanted to go to school, and because she was sick, she would miss her classes. Ryu doesn't understand why she likes school so much. Urara confesses that she's always alone, and school helps take her mind off that. The day later, while Urara is recovering in bed, Ryu shows up and tells her that high school was boring before they met, but now it's fun. He wants to go to college if she joins him. Urara is happy to hear that, and she accepts his offer. During a school trip, Urara wants to swap bodies with Ryu so that she can stay at the sleeping dorms and just spend her time studying. He accepts, so he spends a day as Urara while the class is out on the camping trip. He hangs out with a lot of classmates, and one thing that he notices is that it seems that Urara has become a more social person. She even requested that Yamada joins in on the trip. Now it's up to Ryu Yamada to spend an entire day with the girls as one of them, going together to a hot spring and then later talking during the sleepover. He decides that Urara needs to participate, so he goes to see her still studying alone in his body. They swap bodies so she can go enjoy some fun with her friends instead of just studying. Yamada finally, in his own body, goes out to eat, but he's confronted by Vice President Nene Odagiri, who has footage of him going through Urara's underwear. He realizes that Urara, while in his body, went through her own stuff. Nene blackmails him and tells him that Urara needs to skip an upcoming exam so that Toranosuke loses his chance of becoming council president. Yamada decides that he can just swap bodies with Nene and delete the picture. He goes in for the kiss, but nothing happens. Yamada is confused for a moment and he thinks he may have lost his powers for good this time. Later in the dorm, he tries kissing Ito and Toranosuke to see if his powers work, but nothing happens again. The next morning, something does happen. Now both Miyabi Ito and Toranosuke are madly in love with Yamada. Only after kissing them again does it return them back to normal. Yamada realizes that he now has the power to make anyone fall in love with him after only a kiss. The possibilities excite him. The group speculates that he might have gotten the powers from kissing Nene. Urara once again tries to body swap with Yamada, but because of his new powers, he tries to avoid it. He doesn't want to use her like that, so he constantly tries to postpone their kiss. Eventually, Urara kisses them and they just switch bodies. She doesn't fall madly in love with him. It's the same as before. The gang figures out that for some reason Yamada takes the ability of the witch he kisses. It seems that Urara is a witch and her power is swapping bodies. Nene, who watches this unfold, realizes that she has fallen in love with Yamada, and it's kind of her own fault because those were her powers. Yamada and Urara are confronted by Ushio, who is in love with Nene. He tries to fight Yamada as the two have a shared history. They were actually great friends in middle school, but during high school, their friendship ended. Yamada got into a fight with some bullies and Ushio took pictures. This resulted with Yamada getting suspended from school for a week. Urara explains to Ushio that this was an accident and it is Yamada's power to replicate someone else's power. Ushio begs Yamada to reverse the spell, but he refuses. Urara slaps Yamada and tells him that this is not okay towards Nene and he has to reverse it. Yamada accepts and later that day he kisses Nene and she returns back to normal. Ushio gives the Supernatural Club members an old book that contains knowledge about the 7 witches and their powers. Part of the book is missing. The gang decides to investigate further. It's summer break time, so the Supernatural Studies Club all enjoy some fun at the beach. Well, everyone except Yamada, because his grades are so bad he has to take supplementary classes all summer. Urara decides to help him and they swap bodies so she can take care of his studies in a short time. While Urara is in Yamada's body, another classmate taking the supplementary class, Meiko Otsuka, tries to become friends. It gets a bit flirty and finally Meiko kisses Yamada, but after the kiss, nothing happens, so later the group concludes that Meiko also has to be a witch. To get permission to access the old club room that used to have the Supernatural Club, Yamada and his classmates need to pass the exam. Now in his body, he kisses Meiko once more and realizes that her powers are telepathy. With this, Yamada is able to ace his test and they get access to the old club room, but there's nothing there. The Supernatural group decides that they must find the rest of the witches without help. So that's the end of the first part of Yamada-kun and the 7 witches. If you want to see more anime recaps like this, make sure to subscribe to our channel. And hey, why don't you drop a like if you enjoyed this video? That's it for today, anime fans, and I'll see you all in the next video.